Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Side Hustle Ideas. I am Bill, the company's expert. Thank you for joining me today. This is the weekly live stream where we talk about entrepreneurship, side hustles, starting small business, SMEs, startups, the whole thing, the whole shebang-a-bang. It's a way for a lot of people to add another income source. But more importantly, it's if you're interested in this. This is an alternative to working as an employee. That's the idea. Now, this live stream is called Side Hustle Ideas because I love side hustles. I think they're an excellent way of people getting introduced to the world of entrepreneurship without having to take the plunge and, taking huge financial risks or personal risks and just quitting your job and then starting something. I don't recommend that for anyone. I recommend starting with a side hustle, especially if this is like the first time or the first couple of times you've tried to do an entrepreneurial idea. This is episode number 83. This is called How to Start the Smart Way, Baby Steps. So we're going to be talking about that. And this is a interactive live stream. So if you're seeing my beautiful face, as always, then get in the live chat because you should see a chat box somewhere in the vicinity of my face. So get in the chat. Let me know what you're wondering about, what you're struggling with when it comes to entrepreneurial or business related type topics. And just as a challenge to everybody, I'm issuing the live challenge. Put in the chat box your suggestion for a side hustle idea. That's what I like to see. I like to see people, bring those in and suggest them. And we can kick them around if you would like it after I cover the topic. I'll be getting to questions. As always, special thanks goes out to my YouTube channel members, my Patreons, my super thanks donors, and to you for being here and being a participant and being a part of this. Let's dive in. Okay, so just to kick things off, I see that S. Singh is here. I see that Benito Jr. is here. Hey everyone, thank you for being here. I will get to your question shortly. Let's talk about the title, How to Start the Smart Way. Okay, so it's been several times on this live stream that I've talked about the method that I recommend that people embrace when they're trying to get a startup idea off the ground. Okay, if you have never attempted this before, or if you have, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a risky thing in the sense that we envision how it may turn out if we take the plunge. But a lot of times, reality turns out to be a bit different from what we just envision, right? We might have a dream. I'm going to do this thing. And then the customers will line up around the corner and they will think what I do is wonderful. And they will get down on their knees and beg me to sell it to them. And they'll be happy to open their wallets and pay me a lot of money for it because they'll instantly see that this is an amazing thing and fame and fortune will follow, right? That's how we all envision these things. And chances are is that in the beginning, what you envision, it's not going to work out that way. Now, a variation of it could well indeed work out, but the original idea probably will not work out exactly the way that you imagine it. That's like I always say, it's like getting a hole in one in golf. Hey, it happens. Some people just predict what's going to happen if they do a certain thing, and it all goes according to plan, and bam, there are no surprises, and it works out, and you become the king of the world. However, for a more typical experience is that you kind of have an idea, and you get sort of partial success. Some people are exposed to it. Some people see the value in it. Some people perhaps buy it if you're offering it for sale. But others don't, and that requires a bit of tweaking in what you do and how you do it. So a common mistake is that people will start up a business and they will bet the farm on their guess being correct. So they will, do something that costs huge amounts of money for, in relation to, your personal finances. And they'll take the plunge on something totally untried that they haven't done before. They don't have any direct evidence it's going to work out. They just have a theory that they're damn sure is correct, right? And chances are it doesn't work like that. It's usually not going to work out like that. The way businesses work is that, you require a little bit of theory, and then you require a little bit of experience, a little bit of presence doing that particular thing, being in that industry, understanding the customers and what their needs are and what their needs really are as opposed to what they say they are, and all this kind of thing. How best to connect with them, how best to convince them, and how to give them something that they instantly see and think, wow, that's awesome. And then they want to go out and buy it, right? So if you've never been in the business before, you've been on the outside of it and you're looking in and you have this theory, right? Why not validate it? What have you got to lose? A lot of people are afraid of validating their idea. It's this weird combination of I know I'm right, combined with I'm absolutely afraid to test it before I take the plunge, right? It's this delightful combination. I've never been able to figure it out. I myself have behaved that way, but I've still never been able to figure it out. When I was young, I know exactly what that feels like. And when I was older, I've worked with many people who are stuck in that mentality. So this is why we get to the topic of this live stream. The best way to start the smart way, baby steps. Okay, let's get into it. So you want to do something big, right? Something big, something that takes a lot of money. You want to start a restaurant or something like this. You have a chain of stores or create a product that sets the world absolutely on fire, right? And you have business dealings with all kinds of other big corporations and things like this. And they're, high visibility partners with a lot of clout and a lot of, validity. That's what you want, right? And you're going to go for it. Great. The problem is that usually A, costs a lot of money to do all that in one step, and B, it's a hell of a lot to learn, right? If you've never done any of it before. So you can do it. The way you do it is you work up to it. Any idea can be broken down into separate steps. Steps that are doable, that are affordable, and they validate your idea to some degree. Okay? Another big mistake that people make is that they spend all this time and effort and money on creating a thing only to find that at the end of the process, after they've gone through all hell to create this thing, they discover they can't sell it, or they don't know how to sell it. And then it fails, right? Raise your hand wherever you are. If you're at home, if you're in a public area, raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, if you've been there, right? Now, the irony is that it really doesn't cost hardly anything to validate an idea. It really doesn't. You don't have to even create the thing first. You just have to forget about creating it. You have to go off and see if there's demand for it first, right? It can be as simple as sort of putting your hand up in a room and saying, hey, is anyone interested in this? Right? Figuratively speaking. Sometimes even literally speaking. And if you get nothing, no response, that's kind of a sign. If you get people instantly coming to you wanting to know more, you might even hit the jackpot and say I'd like to buy it. You're offering it for this price, I'll take 2, right? And you get swamped with a few orders right off the bat, right? Wouldn't it be great to start with that so that A, there's demand for it, B, you have cash coming in to fund it? Wouldn't it be great to start with that first before you create the thing with your own money and time and effort, right? That's the principle. So I'm going to throw some examples at you, and hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying, and then we'll go over to questions in the chat. So this is basically talking about scaling up at your own pace. Let me give you some examples right off the hop. Okay, so by the way, all of this, if you want to learn the theory of all of this, check out that course. Okay, link in the description. Okay, let's imagine that someone wanted to start a fitness business. Okay, you're like a personal trainer, or you have aspirations to be a personal trainer, something like that. Okay, you would like to have your own building which is your head office, your location where people come and it's like a gym and they get, personal fitness coaching, and they can attend classes in like fitness and, all this kind of stuff. That's your ambition, right? Now that would cost a lot of money right off the hop if you wanted to, lease some commercial space and like convert it into your own branded location, fully equipped gym, fully equipped classrooms, et cetera, with a website and an app and like all this kind of stuff with employees. That would be a lot of money, right? Let's say that's your ambition. How can we work up to that? Here would be an example. Okay. Number one, maybe start one-on-one coaching. How much does that cost to start up? Hardly anything. You can connect to people on things like LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all kinds of social media. You can connect to people that are around you using the internet, people who are looking for, to get in shape or to have a personal trainer or a personal fitness coach, right? You can offer physical sessions with people. That means, you sort of meet face to face and then, you coach them. Or you could do it virtually online over Zoom or whatever other platform you want, right? How much would that cost to set up? Not that much. A little bit of effort, networking with people, creating a profile, right? That is so much more affordable and easier to start up than the full-blown physical fitness gym paradise that you have envisioned, right? So you start with that. Start learning the business. Start learning how to do personal coaching. Start connecting with clients and prospects in your region that are looking for that. Understand how to meet their needs. What are they willing to pay? What form does it look like? Does this take according to your customers? What are they most looking for? It's okay to have ideas of what you want to offer, but is that based on what people actually want? Right? Get some data, get some evidence. Okay, so you've done that, right? Then you could scale up. You could talk about doing pre-recorded group classes or physical classes. So you're not just working with one client at a time. You're setting up classes full of people that will take a class experience with you, maybe 30 at a time, something like that. You can rent like a room or a facility at the local gym or whatever. Or you could do it virtually, right? So you're scaling up. Finally, when you've done that and you're making money hand over fist and there's a lot of demand for it, then you can start hiring other people and maybe you could start working on a physical location. So either you then rent the commercial space, and have like a physical gym or a place to give the lectures of all of your own, and then you could scale up from there, expand it to a bigger place that's like got a fully equipped gym. So you see, you're breaking the problem down into short, manageable steps. At each step, you validate the idea by verifying that there is demand for this. You then learn how to deliver that properly. You understand the customers, you understand the delivery of whatever it is, if it's a product or service. In this case, it's a service. And at each stage, you're also revenue positive. So you're making money from each stage, and you only scale up when there's an obvious need. You can't meet the demand or something like that, right? What are the benefits of this? Okay, to sum up, the problems this solves. You get market validation of each phase, right? It's much less overwhelming. You can focus on one aspect of the business to begin with. For example, instead of worrying about running an entire gym, let's focus on what individual clients are looking for when hiring a personal trainer or a personal coach. Let's see if we can understand that first before we try and scale it up and add a whole bunch of other variables onto it. You obviously make this more affordable. You reduce the initial capital outlay at every step or every stage, whatever you want to call it. You're not spending nearly as much of your own money to do it, and you're not taking nearly as much of a financial risk. You're gaining experience as you go. Obviously, that's a great thing. Things become much more predictable, right? It would be easier to forecast how many customers your gym might have if you're already coaching 200 people in classes. You know what I mean? And you have an idea of what these people are looking for. You also have flexibility. You can do these phases in different orders. You could break it down as you see fit. Instead of going from a virtual class to a physical location, if you wanted, you could hire 2 or 3 employees and get them also to conduct virtual classes so you can get even more capacity and do it that way before you scale up to a physical location, if that's the way you felt like you could go. There's a lot of flexibility there. And then obviously you're reducing the risk of each phase working because you're not starting from zero. You're starting from having a profitable business where you're delivering a valuable service and you're in tune with an audience, with a market. Okay? I'm going to give 2 more examples before I finish this, just so everybody gets the point. Here's another example. I've kind of used this one before, but let's revisit it. Let's pretend you wanted to have a restaurant. You're not a fitness type dude or gal. You were a chef type person or someone who cares about food. Maybe you're not a chef, but you're just a food enthusiast. I wonder what that looks like. And you could do something like this. You could start with a telephone ordering business. Okay, so you don't have the money to buy a restaurant. That costs like the price of a house, and then you have the extreme risk of having to make it a success when you don't know anything about anything. But you start with like, okay, I've created a new type of food, right? Whatever, a new type of pizza, previously undiscovered, right? The Italians, the Greek, nobody's got Chicago. Nobody has anything on this pizza, okay? It's the next step in pizza development, okay? So you've created this in your kitchen, right? Now, instead of going from that to a restaurant, let's see if we can start I don't know what the first step would be, either a pickup service probably, where, people call the number, they order the food and they come and pick it up. Maybe they pay with a credit card on the phone and then they come and pick up their food. Something like that, right? Relatively cheap and simple to get started, right? But it's validating the food, right? Like, is this food truly good enough to base a restaurant around? Let's put it to the test. If it isn't, let's work on the food so that it's absolutely irresistible. Everyone who tastes it comes back, buys more, right? Let's get that in place first. Then, when we've achieved that, maybe you can add a delivery service. So same thing, but you deliver the food, okay? You've got that, you partner with a company or you do it yourself. Maybe you have a website or an app for ordering, something like that, right? Scaling up a little bit, okay? Let's say you make that all work. You can scale up. Maybe you release a product. This is your food, your type of pizza, frozen, that you partner with local supermarkets and they carry your products in their store, at the supermarket. So people go to the frozen food section, they see your pizza as one of the products and they can buy it, right? You're partnering with these big chains, okay? So maybe that would be a step up, right? You're learning more about sort of bigger scale food manufacturing. Maybe then you do a physical location, a restaurant where it's pickup only. So not very big, a glorified shack, but it is a physical location with employees, and you make the food there in a commercial kitchen type setup, and then people come and pick it up. And then you can scale up from there to eat-in dining, delivery, all that kind of stuff. So it's almost like 5 phases. Telephone ordering, delivery service, frozen products that are carried by distributors, a physical location that's like pickup only, and then a full-blown restaurant where you have a dine-in experience and delivery and pickup and all that, right? So you could break it down into 5 steps. So that would be a much less risky, more affordable option than trying to just open a restaurant all in one go. With new food, never having done this kind of thing before professionally, right? Hopefully that makes sense. I will save the example. Let's get to questions right off the hop here. So hello to S. Singh again. And Benito Jr. says, how do you view an applicant who is a job hopper? Okay, well, that's about jobs. Sige says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sige. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Roxanne is back. Roxanne says, "Hi, great to be here." It's great to have you, Roxanne. Thank you for coming back. 3 Alpha says, "I want to become the next Elon Musk. Any tips?" Make sure you're as clean shaven as me, and the rest is easy. That's my tip. Without the Twitter part. Okay, well, I have the beauty of not having the ownership of any kind of social media platform, so you're even more like me. So your chances have just gone up. Roxanne says, "I'm going through a rebrand by changing the look of my packaging and aesthetic of my products." Okay, I will do some testing on a few products. Yeah, it's a question of measuring the results. Now, in this beautiful data-driven age, we like to get data on everything. Yes, that's absolutely a thing. And if you can, great. But unfortunately, not everything is easy to get data on. So just, you could go on word of mouth. You could go on, questionnaires for customers and things like that, or a random sampling of customers just to see if they noticed and they care or which they prefer, that kind of thing. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to get, data feedback on everything. Sometimes you just take the plunge. That's the reality for a lot of small business owners. You can't turn everything into a research project. So you just go with your gut and, and now if you notice something, some bad effects, like sales are going down or something, then you could maybe revisit the data thing, maybe do like an A and B testing or something to see if, that has any, that's one of the variables in the decline in sales, things like this. Gopi Kufu says, "Hi, sir. I got the job in this." Well, thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say. And I appreciate you telling me, Gopi Kufu. That's very nice. Okay, so a third example of the scaling up, starting in baby steps for a business idea that I wanted to share with you all, would be the example of like handmade crafts or art. Some people are into this. It's a kind of very popular thing. Okay. Maybe you have aspirations of being like a heavyweight in the art world, but making money with it, not just the pure artist thing, but more of the business driven thing. You want to be able to create paintings and sell them for an exorbitant amount of money. You want to be a prominent player in the art scene in your city or something like that. You want this to be your income and your life, or maybe you're in the arts and crafts thing. It's kind of somewhat similar, right? So instead of just buying an arts and crafts business or, leasing commercial space and creating a store all in one go, you could do something like this. You could open a store on Etsy or other online platforms and sell your sort of handmade arts and craft products, right? Relatively easy and cheap to set up, right? See if you can promote it online perhaps, or promote it locally in your hometown or in your little circles there, wherever you are. Just see if you can make that pay for itself and get it to be revenue positive, right? And if you're making money at that, then perhaps you could scale up, do larger products, maybe custom items, something like that. You scale it up. It's still a virtual store. Okay. Then maybe the next step, if you're making money at that, your sales are going up and you're profitable. See if you can collaborate with larger retailers, get them to distribute your products. Okay. So, they have their products, your products in their physical store, right? There's a lot of arts and crafts type places. There's a lot of stores that would sell that type of thing, right? See if you can get your products in those stores. See if you can get them to sell and for people to want to work with you. And then finally, if you can make that work, take the plunge and open your store. At that point, you probably have enough experience knowing what products work, how to sell them, who to sell them to, and how to do it on a grand scale. So then opening a physical store of your own, that doesn't seem nearly as risky, right? So that's how you can work up to that in baby steps. And it has the advantage, obviously, not just about being more affordable, but you validated each step along the way before you open the physical store. Wouldn't it be great to open a store when you already have an audience? People already know who you are. You're already in demand. They already buy your stuff. They're already familiar with it, right? and they're already in this location. Wouldn't that be great? That's what you work up to. Gopi Kufu says, myself, I do laser engraving. Right on. Green Virus says, hello again. Last time I was here, I spoke of an interview where I got ghosted. Okay, we're talking about interviews. Thanks again. Yeah, okay, no problem. But this is a live stream where we talk about entrepreneurship and side hustles, hence the name. So we're talking about that. Anyway, that's kind of my monologue on scaling up and doing it intelligently in baby steps. I've given you 3 examples today so far. They were the fitness training example, the restaurant example, and the homemade arts and crafts example. So hopefully that illustrates how this method can work for you. It's far less risky than doing it all in one go. It makes a lot of these larger ambitions possible and far more likely to succeed. And if perchance it does not succeed, if it does fail, it just, you can't get it to work. It fails without spending nearly as much money or nearly as much time and effort on it. So that's a win too, in a way. You don't want to fail so hard that you're in debt for the rest of your life. You have to then abandon your entrepreneurial dreams, go get a day job to pay off your debts, etc., 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 right? That's what this will save you from. It allows you to try your ideas and go for it and give yourself every chance to succeed and achieve your dreams of not working as an employee for someone else, doing your own thing, being your own boss, and creating something new and wonderful. Some kind of creative type thing, whether you're an artistic type person or a technical type person. You know, that's what starting a business is. It's a very creative thing. You're doing things your way, you know, and you sink or swim by the decisions you make. And this allows you to make better decisions, more checks and balances, and then to get every step right before you proceed to the next step. So there you go. You're welcome, Green Virus. That's very nice of you. And Bognine Harbrush, I like that name, says, man, I joined late. Thank you for all your work. You're absolutely welcome, Bognine Harbrush. It feels like you need like a prefix at the front and a suffix at the end, like Sir Borgnine Harbrush Esquire, you know, PhD. That's what I expect it, your full title to be. So I'm just going to talk to you like that is indeed who you are. Even if you're not a guy, I'll just assume you are. How's that? So there you go. I'd like to open up for questions. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, then that's, I guess, where we leave things. Let me know in the chat if you have a side hustle idea. That's always a challenge I throw out to people. You know, get in the chat. Let me know what would be a good side hustle idea that you theorize might be something worth doing. We can kick it around if you wish, or you could just ask questions. Let me know. Bog9 says, people call me Bogbrus. Okay. Hey, it's good to be known. You know, it's good to be known and for something. Gopi Kufu says, any other side hustle ideas for a PhD in mechanical engineering, like teaching or consulting? Well, that was just what I was going to say. Like, you know, if you're a PhD, a lot of PhDs that end up being professors, I know, do a lot of consulting on the side for the private sector. Now, a PhD in mechanical engineering, I am a lowly bachelor of engineering, of electrical engineering. So I was never swimming in the circles that you were, okay, that you are. But yeah, the most obvious basic thing you could do is teach whatever it is that you have expertise in, right? But consulting is a little more interesting. I think consulting is more where the money is, as opposed to teaching. You know, it depends what your area of expertise is and how you can spin it, I imagine, to provide value for people that would benefit from knowing the things that you know. So if there are engineering companies or manufacturing companies or anything that deals with mechanical engineering in some capacity that could benefit from your knowledge, maybe you could help them improve their product. Maybe you could help, if they provide a service, their service could be much more effective with your advice if you could show them new techniques or draw their attention to some new element that affects them or it affects their products or services. That would be a clear thing, right? Now, I'm not speaking from my core competency here because I'm not a PhD and I don't consult in engineering or anything like that, but I would suspect, and this is something you can verify, you would verify this before proceeding, but I would suspect that a lot of PhDs in, say, engineering or something, you would begin by writing papers in the area that you felt, could enhance products or services from commercial companies. Like a new welding technique or a new aspect of making something more reliable or safer or more efficient, something like that. You would write a paper in it, and then that would help put you on the map. And then, it would be a way to sort of draw attention to what it is that you can do and what you have to offer. And then the rest would be sort of promotion. It would be you going out there and evangelizing about it, speaking at events, industry events, this kind of stuff, whether it's related to engineering or it's related to business, because if you're providing value for someone, it could affect both. It's going to affect the technicalities of what they do, but it's also going to affect their business, right? In what services they provide or what techniques they use or that kind of thing, right? It might have like a regulatory side to it. You could advise the regulatory bodies. So whether that's the government or it's industry associations or it's professional associations, these could all be entities that could benefit from your knowledge and advice. So you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff out there. Now, in order to know what to do, usually the way you would go about this is you go and have informational interviews with people who are already doing it. Perhaps not directly in your field, so you're not like talking to a potential competitor, but someone that's doing this kind of thing. It's somewhat related to what you want to do, but you're not a competitor. So maybe, like I'm an electrical engineer, maybe someone with an electrical engineering degree, like a PhD in electrical engineering, that's also consulting in the private sector, and just ask them like how they went about it, how, if they have any recommendations, how someone would do this. And you're not competing with each other, so there shouldn't be any conflict of interest in them answering your questions. So learn how to do informational interviews if you don't already know that, and learn how to get them. If you don't already know that, that's covered in this course that I have if you want to see my version of doing it. And you can basically learn all of that stuff because it exists out there. It's in the minds of the people that are doing it. All you got to do is sit down with them. Okay, so hopefully that gives you enough to go on for now. And, if you look into it, then come back and let me know how it's going. Borgnine says, you may have already talked about this, but what about data-related work, such as using power by skills? I don't know what power by skills are, but it would apply to every industry. It's a concept applies to every industry. If you could give me a bit more clarification of what you mean by power by skills, please. This is the side effect of me talking to people all over the world in every country, in every industry. I sometimes need a bit of assistance with the terms. Gopi says, no, I'm tired of university life. I left after postdoctorate and moved to Stryker. Okay. From last week, job in industry pays well compared to university, almost double. Teaching doesn't pay. So yeah, like that's what I was saying. Consulting is mainly where it's at for someone like you, less so teaching. Gopi says, awesome, Thur, thanks a million. I'm now working as coatings engineer. Slowly I will develop myself into a consultant for this. I totally get you, sir. Always feel motivated. Yeah, listen, it's about sort of positioning yourself as someone who can help them, right? Like, people are not just going to automatically come to you and say, can you help us? I understand that you have the answers. Can you tell us how we can use this to make our products better? They're not going to just do that spontaneously, right? You would have to get your message out there. There's a variety of ways of doing that. The best thing to do, in my opinion, would be to talk to, like I said, to talk to people who are already doing that kind of thing, you know, and get ideas. And they can share a lot of insights into that. And, you know, use that as a model and then go from there, right? You know, I imagine the starting point would be writing a paper, but if you don't want to do that, you have to find some other way of saying, I know this, and it's real, and it's valid, and it can help you, right? The big challenge you're going to have two challenges. One is getting the validity, right? Being taken seriously, because a lot of people out there are making all kinds of claims, right? Companies have to sort through the mire of this to try and determine what's actually real and what's just flim-flam. You know, people are promising all kinds of benefits and they can't deliver, right? So that's where they'll fall back on certain things. Like, for example, if you've written a peer-reviewed paper that's been published and it's floating in very reputable circles by people in that industry, that kind of is a sign of, you know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But yet, I'm not an expert, so you need to talk to the people that are doing this kind of stuff for engineering and hear what they have to say. That would be the first stop to determine how to do that. Roxanne says, thank you for advice. I'm ready to reach out to retail shops in my area for distribution. Awesome. What is the right time to open an LLC? Okay, LLC is an American thing. We don't have those in Canada. Well, it depends what your goals are. Like, I can't tell you what to do until I know what your goal is, right? If your goal is to say, I run an LLC, then the perfect time is now, right? But if your goal is profitability, right, then you would do the baby step thing that I was talking about earlier in this live stream, and you work up to that. Now, do you have to incorporate a company to test that people want the thing that you're planning to do? No. Validate it first. Don't do anything before you validate it. So if you don't have a thing, a product or a service yet, but you're wondering, is this something I should do? Should I sink time, money, and effort into this? Go and talk to your audience for that thing. Who would buy it? Okay, somebody's going to buy it in some way, shape, or form. Even if you're just like starting a business to have it acquired, there's always a buyer, right? A customer. So go to that customer, whoever they may be. If you don't know who would buy it, then that's obviously why you need validation. Go and see if you can find these people. And then say, would you be interested in this? Pretend like you have it for sale. And say, I'm offering this. Is anyone interested? And see if you can sell it. Now, if you can't sell it, there's your answer. You need to tweak something. Either you're going to the wrong people, or you're not offering something that they see as valuable, or your price is wrong, right? But there's something that needs to be tweaked, right? So if you've gotten that, and you've been able to like put your money where your mouth is, pre-sell it, say, I'm offering this. Is anyone interested? See if you can get people to buy it. Okay. Now, if they do say yes, you say, okay, excellent. You take their money and then you make it very clear. Okay, I will now provide it to you. There might be a little bit of a lag, almost like ordering something on Amazon. You go buy something, you pay for it immediately, and then they send it to you in the mail, and you have to wait, right? So it's exactly the same thing. You just make sure that everything's communicated very clearly, and then it's now your job to fill that order, okay? So go ahead and create the thing that you want to sell, provide it to them, right? Now, if you've done that and you've proven that, yes, this isn't a freak occurrence, you can sustain sales of this, now it starts to make sense to incorporate, to go through all that trouble and effort and expense to do this properly, above board, by the book, right? And it's a platform for you to grow with, right? So that's generally what I would advise. Does that make sense, Roxanne? Don't just incorporate as like your first step if that's what you're doing, because it may not be justified. Like, why go through that trouble and expense? You've got to do things like, I understand, like, once again, I'm not in the US, I don't understand LLCs because I don't operate there, but for corporations generally, you have to fill in, they have to submit their own tax return and all this kind of stuff. There's hoops you have to jump through to run a corporation from an administrative level. So why undertake all that if you're not even making money yet? You know what I mean? The inflation situation says business intelligence. Okay. Bog9 says Power BI is a data dashboarding tool like Tableau. If that means something. Oh, okay. So just I get it. Like a data dashboard. Like BI, I assume, is business intelligence. Okay. Fair enough. So you were saying before, what were you saying about that? Bog9 says, where did you say that? Okay, wonderful. I'm sorry, I lost where you mentioned that previously. Okay, here we go. You may have already talked about this, but what about data-related work such as using... Okay, so you're using business intelligence. What for? Like you're saying, what about it? What do you mean? Like, is it a good thing? It depends what you're trying to do. Once again, if you could give me a little more information, like when you say, what about it? Like, what do you mean? I mean, obviously business intelligence is good, but just anything that says business intelligence, is it automatically a good idea to use it? No. There's people peddling a lot of crap out there, or stuff that isn't technically crap. It's just not a very good version of what it's trying to do. So how do you know that it's the best thing you should be doing? That's going to depend on your situation. I can't answer that for you. But let me know if there's more to this that you'd like me to react to. Suhail says, hi, how to negotiate a good pay when moving? Okay, we're not talking about jobs. This is a live stream about side hustles, hence the name. Okay, well, we've been going for about 45 minutes. There's 28 people here. If you have any last questions, please put them in the chat right now. If people send me some stuff in the next minute or two, I'll be happy to answer you to the best of my ability. In the meantime, check out these courses, especially this one. If you are wanting to learn business, I created this course for you. You will learn, or you can learn if you choose to, you can learn everything that would be possible to learn in a brick and mortar 2-year MBA degree in a brick and mortar university, okay? In that course, because it's not really a course, it's a program. And what it is, it's essentially a reading list. You get a pile of textbooks. You get the same textbooks they use in MBA programs around the world that are very reputable, including Harvard Business School in their MBA program. And you're using the same textbooks that they use in their courses, right? You're taking the same courses and using the same textbooks. It's a self-study thing. That's the catch. It's a self-study. You read the books, and if you wish, you can do the exercises and the case studies and all that kind of stuff, and then learn the same thing they learn. I provide videos that guide you through it, but the learning basically comes from reading these books and absorbing the material. Now, the beauty of this program is that it's completely self-study. You can do it on your own schedule. You can devote 5 minutes a day to it if you want, or you could devote 4 hours a day if you want. If you want to go really in depth, you can. If you want to just skim the material, get a very cursory overview of what it is, you can do that too. It's entirely flexible. It's entirely up to you. If you're only interested in learning one element of business, say accounting, and you don't give a rat's ass about marketing or operations or quality or human resources or economics or, organizational theory or any other part of it, you could do that too. So it's entirely flexible. So I put this together because I have an MBA, and I got really frustrated with how schools, I feel it's criminal, how they're charging like 5 figures, like in US dollars, 5 figures for a 2-year program to learn this when the information pretty much is all in the public domain. You know, it's like it's like charging somebody $50,000 to teach them high school math. You can buy a textbook on, grade 12 math or whatever, and it doesn't cost you $50,000, and you can go through it. You could do all the problems, you could master high school mathematics with, not having to spend $50,000. It's ridiculous, For a lot of people, they're trying to almost make this knowledge inaccessible. And then you have to take 2 years off. They have executive MBA programs stuff, but like for most mainstream MBA programs, you have to take 2 years off your life to go and do this. That's not practical, nor is it necessary. You know what I mean? So that's why I created this course. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, you want to learn business, and business is the scientific study of how to make money, if that's what you want to learn, then this knowledge is freely available. I'm just sort of collecting it and presenting it to you, and guiding you through it. So if that's something that, sounds appealing to you, check out the link in the description box. There's a link to the course. There's also a link to an FAQ video so that this whole thing is as transparent as possible. You understand what you're getting with the course, how it works. Go ahead and watch that. And, if you want to learn business, you want to give yourself every chance to succeed in business. If you're doing a side hustle or an SME or, any kind of business venture, knowing business really helps you succeed in business. So check that out. Okay, let's see. What do we got here in the chat? Bog9 says, hard to explain in the chat, but using the skill that relates to data and using that as a means of creating a side hustle. Like, are you talking like some kind of data mining type thing where you like analyze great swaths of data, maybe for a client, and then glean business intelligence out of it? Is that what you're sort of offering? Or maybe as a consultant, going to small businesses, go to the business owners and say, look, I understand that there's all kinds of newfangled tools and software packages out there, and it can be a bit intimidating and overwhelming trying to navigate all that. But I'm an expert on the solutions that are available and what they do. And I can come in, I can look at what you're doing, and I can recommend solutions. I can walk you through like why you might want one solution instead of another. And then I can also help get that solution in place for you, and then train all your employees in how to use it, and, give you an idea of what it can do for you and let you sort of specify how you want it to be used, and sort of navigate and guide you through all that. Like, it's a consulting service, and you can get the products through me. Something like that. Like, that might be, I don't know, some idea that you could do if that's the way you want to go with it. If you're into like just the statistical analysis or the data collection or the data mining, data analysis, that kind of stuff. Like several years ago, a big prominent initiative in the world of business were things like Six Sigma. And Six Sigma is just like applied statistics, really. That's all it is. You analyze what's going on and you use all kinds of statistical methods to glean some intelligence from what you're doing. And then you translate that into like, here's one simple thing that we can do to, instantly boost the profitability of this product by 10%, something like that. Like, we eliminate all the defects or 95% of all the defects just by doing this one little tweak, and we now see that by using these statistical tools, right? So you can combine with stuff like that. Like, I'm a master black belt in Six Sigma for what that's worth. I think that's my master black belt right there, that or that one. And I'm also an expert in lean. So, lean was the sort of version of it that's like not really based on statistics. It's based on people. But maybe consulting on that stuff or being able to assist people with that stuff. You don't have to be an absolute nth level genius on it, but you have to be able to guide people who know nothing about it through the mire of that whole universe and find something that can help them. Maybe that's the challenge or something. So there might be something in that. I'm not sure if that's what you want to do, something like that. Bog9. Gopi says, do you think having an extra degree along with a PhD helps in being a consultant? Well, I don't know. But you see, there is no answer to that question as a general question. That's probably going to vary depending on what consulting you're doing, to whom, what country you're in, what industry you're in, and what you're trying to achieve. You know what I mean? In order to get an answer on that, you would have to do informational interviews. Go find the people that would hire consultants like that. Then go find people who are consulting on this kind of thing. Sit down with both of them and ask them what they think, right? Before you even do informational interviews, you can do a 5-minute search on LinkedIn. Okay, you might need the premium version of it. I'm not sure, but look up people who are providing this consulting, the kind of thing you want to do. Look what they have. Do they just have a PhD, or do they have a PhD in engineering, but they also have qualifications in things like lean or statistics or technical qualifications to work on other people's products? Like they've got licenses from Toshiba to work on Toshiba products, so you could consult on a company that uses Toshiba products or something. I don't know. Get answers for that stuff. Get very specific technical answers for that by doing your own research. Start with LinkedIn. Find the people doing it. Look at what they have. Then the second level is to start sitting down with these people, do some informational interviews with them, ask them a whole bunch of questions about what they do and why. Why do you need this stuff? What extra degrees should you get? How would you use them? What are we going to be needing in the future? These would all be questions you could ask them. See what they say, and that's how you get an answer to this. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Roxanne says, thank you. I understand your method of doing baby steps. I will do some pre-sales to see if there's some interest. Yeah, and if there is an interest in the form of it that you're envisioning, try and figure out if it's possible to tweak it so that there is interest. Maybe you've got everything right, it's just you're going to the wrong people, or maybe you're going to the right people and you've got everything right, it just maybe the price is the way you would, the fee structure is wrong. Instead of paying it in a lump sum, they would go for a subscription service, or you know what I mean? Like tweak the formula, try various things until you hit upon something that you see some response, and then go down that path, right? The great thing is that it's quick and easy to do because you haven't actually done the hard work on developing whatever it is yet. You're just proposing things, So this is also best done in person too. Like if you ever have an opportunity to go down to an event or a trade show or anything like that, where you can rub shoulders with all the players in that business and get their thoughts on everything and propose different things to them. And you know what I mean? The more you sort of communicate with people and you ask them questions and you propose things, the more insight you'll get into, what might work and what maybe doesn't. So it pushes you closer and closer towards a solution. Okay, I think we've gotten down to pretty much the end of the chat there. I want to thank, there's 22 people here. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. Remember, side hustles are a great way in to not only having an extra source of income, but it can be a stepping stone to many things. The other thing you get immediately from it is a sense of security, because your income is not coming from a single source. If you're an employee and you got a day job, your all your income is coming from a single source. If you have a side hustle on the side, you're making some money on the side. You have a little bit of a failover, a little bit of redundancy, right? And also, if you have the desire, it may be possible to turn your side hustle into a full-blown income replacement full-time thing, right? So, and that you can even grow and there's no ceiling, right? If you scale it up, right? So it's an incredible thing. And not to mention, it's a sign of personal creativity. Something you create yourself. It's all your own idea. It's your approach. You reap the reward of it. And the secret to success is providing value to others. And I think that's beautiful. So thank you for joining me today. I will be back next week at the same time for another edition of Side Hustle Ideas. In the meantime, if you have any suggestions or thoughts on any of this, leave them in the comments. If you want to learn business with me, check out that course, the $100 MBA. There's a link to it in the description. I can't emphasize, obviously I'm biased on this. You guys know that because I'm selling a course, but I can just tell you, I'm honest in saying that learning how to make money, learning the business of how to make money, which is the study of business, is a good thing if you're trying to make money. So the more you know, the further you'll go. Thanks very much. Take care, everyone. I will see you soon.